Okay. Hi, welcome. So excited because I have a winner for today's eyeshadow tutorial, and it is the Harvest Moon collection. So if you are hopping on and you voted, the live tutorial I'm going to do today is all about an eyeshadow collection called the Harvest Moon, and it's going to be this eyeshadow look here, and I'm so glad that you're joining. So, if we haven't met before, my name's Karen and I'm 55. I'm a Seint artist, and I'm going to be showing you some really good mature and or hooded eyeshadow tips that I just learned. So I am not great at doing eyeshadow, but I keep practicing and learning new things, and when I learn something new, I'm definitely going to share it with you. So let's go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining me. We're going to do an eyeshadow look like this with these 4 eyeshadows from the Harvest Moon collection. It's a limited edition collection from Seint, but it's really fun. It's got 1 matte shade and 3 gorgeous shimmers. In my little palette here, I have a little cleaning tile that's really great. So when you change shades, you can actually clean your eyeshadow brush off. So that's a really cool thing. You can also do that on a little washcloth or a towel. And then I have a light cream concealer. All right, so let's just jump right in because I want to show you and share with you the first tip that I just learned for mature eyes and hooded eyes. And it's all about the placement of our eyeshadow and how to avoid over blending it and getting it in the wrong place. Okay, so I'm so excited about this because this is really, really a cool tip. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a smaller brush. This one here is, can you see that? It's just like a little liner type brush. You could even use a brush like this that's kind of more of a flat brush, but I'm going to use this smaller end, and I'm going to pick up a light shaded concealer or highlighter, depending on what you call it, but it's a cream, and I'm going to pick a little bit up. It's got to be a shade light enough, lighter than, about 1 or 2 shades lighter than my normal skin tone, so I can see it. So the first thing I'm going to do is talk to you about creating some placement lines. We're going to do some guidelines. We're actually going to draw them on our eyelid. And if you have mature eyes, one thing we don't want to do with mature eyes is we don't want to pull our eye down and add anything that makes our eye look more droopy, right? We want to always lift everything. So the first line we're going to draw is from the outside of your lashes up to kind of the end of your eyebrow, depending on where your brow is. So I have a little bit of this color here. Again, it's just one of my light colored concealer or highlighter shades. Now I'm going to draw it on, so bear with me. I've got to look in the mirror here. And if you don't get it on perfectly, not a big deal. But can you see that there? I'm going to go a little bit heavier so you can see my line. So I'm going from the end of my brow down, and I'm kind of doing an angle right down to my lashes, where my bottom lashes are. So see this line right here? So I'm all about placement lines and guidelines. Listen, trying to put your eyeshadow on without your glasses on is hard enough. Trying to get the right placement is hard. So what we're going to do is we're placing this line as a placement guide. Have you done this before? Let me know if you have, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that when we apply our eyeshadow, we don't start blending outside of this line. So we're going to try to keep everything lifted and on the inside of this line. Okay, now if you have hooded eyes, I don't have seriously hooded eyes, but one of my eyes is much more hooded than the other. A hooded eye is when your eyelid, when you relax it, you actually cannot see any of your lid, okay? A lot of us have that, or a lot of us are starting to develop more. We're losing the elasticity in our eyes and our muscle tone. So this is the line for mature eyes, okay? And then for hooded eyes, we're going to draw a second line, and I'm going to do that. So I'm going to just dip that same brush into my light colored highlight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line from outside of this line along my brow bone. So not in the crease, but up above the crease. So let me show you what that looks like. So feel for where your brow bone is, and then go ahead and draw a line over like this. Can you see that? Can you gals see that? Let me know if you can see it. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm placing, let me make that kind of not so dipped down. It can kind of come up a bit like that. So for this line here, this is going to help me place my accent color so that I don't get it just in the crease and so that it just doesn't disappear. Okay. Oh, good. You can, okay, you sure can see it. Excellent. Okay, thanks. Hey, Heather. Hey, Erlene. Thank you. Okay. So now that we've added our placement lines, now I did it on this side and then we're going to blend them out when we're done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start putting our eyeshadow on. And the first thing I'm going to apply is my kind of my base lid shade, which is this shade here. It's a matte. In this set, it's called Butterscotch. And it's a really pretty kind of it's a matte, pretty kind of caramely shade. Okay, it's a great shade for your lids, just a nice all over shade. I'm going to use this is the eyeshadow brush. It's a nice fluffy ended eyeshadow brush. This is the brush I'm going to be using to do most of my eyeshadow look here. So I'm going to pick up some of this pigmented. These are super pigmented. Tap a little bit off. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is look at that placement area. And I'm going to start by, see that? Staying on the inside of that line. Okay, so this, I'm going to, and another tip is instead of going like this and windshield wipering out to where you might find that you're going to be, sometimes when we do that, when we do this wash, okay? When we wash on our base shade, sometimes a lot of us, and I did the same thing, I would start blending or wiping it, windshield wiping this color way down here. And what that would do is pull my eye down, right? And it made my eye look much more closed and pulled down and droopy. So here's a second tip, is instead of doing this windshield wiper thing, actually place your color and blend in. Lift up, blend in. Lift up, blend in. So if I'm always staying on the inside of those lines and I'm lifting up, pulling in, then I'm avoiding, right, getting any color out here. So look at how already much more lifted my eye looks. I don't know. Do you like this tip? I can't wait for you all to try it. I really hope you do. So I'm just placing my main shade down, kind of lifting up and blending it in. Okay. And then I can even just kind of, without reloading it, just in little circular motions, just kind of diffuse. That's what's so great about this eyeshadow brush, the way that it's made with the way that it feathers out and just the fluffiness of the brush. Oh, good. I'm glad you think that's a good tip. I cannot wait for you gals to try it. If you don't reload the brush, but you just kind of hold it way back here and just lightly go in circles, it actually kind of helps diffuse and blend that color in. But as you can see, I'm trying really hard to stay within my placement lines that I made, right? But this is just your base shade. This is just such a pretty matte shade. And that's the Butterscotch. Okay, now. Oh, I'm so glad you like this tip. Excellent. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, and hold. Thank you, Heather. One thing about, and then that's another thing I've learned, even as an artist, like an art journaler and a watercolor, sometimes you get so tense drawing or sketching, you hold your pencil so tight because you're concentrating. What you need to do is loosen up. So with a brush like this eyeshadow brush that we sell, it really is made to be used very loosely. So loosen your grip and put your fingers farther away from the end so that when you go to use it, it's much looser and you are letting the brush do the work for you. Let the eyeshadow brush do the work for you, okay? So there we go. That's our first thing we're going to do. Now, the next step is we're going to be adding the color here, the second color, and so here's the Butterscotch. And then this color here is called Snowbird. And it's kind of like a dark brassy shimmer. Now, yes, I have mature eyes. I'm 55. And a lot of times, putting way too much shimmer on our eyes, our older mature eyes, sometimes, it can be too much or make our eyes look a little crepey. But the thing about these shimmers in this set is that they're darker and they're very subtle. And they have a lot of pigment in them, meaning kind of more of the color, the pigment, than shimmer. So I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised how these work. All right, so we're going to switch the brush over. This is the end I used to put on my lid, okay? And now we're going to switch over and use this more blunt end here. And we're going to pick up some of this color here. Let me make sure I got the right one. And again, tap into it and then tap over, because again, you'll get a lot of fallout. I want you to tap off. It's super pigmented. So the next placement is all about that V. You know how you always see me or other, we've seen lots of artists, they come in and they're like, oh, place this V. And you end up going way out here, okay? So if we have mature or hooded eyes, by placing this line here and then drawing this line along the brow bone for the hooded eye, that's gonna really help us. So what I'm gonna do, because I have to do this too, is I have to hold my eye a little taut because my eyes, I've lost a lot of elasticity. And what I'm gonna do is, although I need to see my mirror, so maybe I'll just try it. So I'm gonna first draw along the vertical line from the brow bone down along that line down to my lashes. Can you see that line? But see how I stayed on the inside? Okay. So that's gonna make my eye look more lifted. It's look at how much more lifted that looks already than putting it way out here, okay? I cannot wait to hear from you guys. Gals, I hope, please, please, if you do this, if you try this, and you like it, will you send me a selfie of yourself in my messages? Will you private message me? Because that would just totally make my day. I would love to see you do this and try it. Now, the next thing with the hooded eyes is, remember the line that we created here along the brow bone? So that's where we're going to put this color, this accent color, up along that line and pull it in. Okay. So that way when we, and you can put it into the crease too, because my eyes are not as hooded, so that when I close my eye, it's not as hooded as maybe some of you guys. Okay, oh good. Okay, Sharon, I hope this is making sense. And like you say, you know, I'm learning with you. I'm learning too. I'm learning too. Hey, when you're 55 and you've done makeup a certain way your whole life and you learn something new, you know, you just gotta practice and try it. Okay, so Heather, this accent shade is in the set and this one is the Snowbird. Okay, so that's the brassy, it's kind of the brassy colored one. All right, so again, remember when we talked about the lift, pull in and lift, pull in and lift, instead of wiping back and forth and then getting out of control and wiping the color way out here and pulling our eye down. Let's try to do where you're pulling it in, lift, pull in, lift, pull in. Okay, is that making sense? All right. So there we go. So I've got that. And if I had really, really hooded eyes, much more hooded eyes when I was able to close, you know, kind of have that, I'm going to see that accent color show. That makes sense. All right, let's see if I'm making sense to you gals. Okay. Now, if you want to do a little bit of blending, again, we can use our kind of our little cleaning tool and get the brush. We call it, you know, make the brush naked, remove any color off of it by using that little blending tile. It's just a little kind of like, it's dry. It's just like this foamy little tin that sticks inside your palette that you can clean your brushes or your eyeshadow brushes off with. So now let's do it again. Let's keep our brush loose and just kind of maybe diffuse some of that color over just lightly. And you can just kind of do this little circular motion to diffuse that a bit. Okay. All right. So next, let's add some of these two accent shimmers. This one's called Hot Chocolate, which is kind of like a warm chocolatey shimmer. And this one's called Angel's Landing, which is almost like a pop of like this. We're going to use it as a pop of beautiful kind of this champagne look. Okay. So I'm going to start with my finger. I like applying some of my shimmer eyeshadows with my finger, and instead of doing it with a brush, if you use your finger, you can actually press or pat the shimmers on, and I think it gives you a little bit more control. So I'm going to take my finger and pick up the hot chocolate, okay? And I'm going to apply that from the outside of my eye and just kind of pat or press some of that chocolate color. Let's see if I can do this. So hard to do your eyes the opposite of your dominant hand, you know? So I'm right-handed, so doing the opposite is a little bit tricky. And then take a little bit of the, I wonder if I can do it this way. Take a little bit of the Angel's Landing with your finger, a different finger, and just rub that kind of from right along that lash line, along the bottom of your lashes, kind of more towards the center, and just rub and tap that on. So you've got this pretty pop with that Angel's Landing and a little bit of the chocolate shimmer in the outside. Then what we're gonna do is get that fluffy brush again, clean it off, make sure it's clean, and let's just do a little bit of soft blending. Just kind of blend. Make sure they're a little bit even. I look like I got a little bit more color over here, but that's okay. All right, then for fun, we can even add a little bit of this kind of this hot chocolate color as a liner along the bottom lashes and along here. So with your eyeshadows, it's kind of fun. You can use your eyeshadows as eyeliner. So I could use like a matte dark brown. I'm gonna try it with the hot chocolate shimmer. And to make it a little bit more intense, I'm gonna take a little bit of setting spray and just squirt just a little bit inside the lid, barely any. Did you see it was just like a little dribble? Because I don't wanna waste it. And then let me grab a kind of more of an angled liner brush. See the angled end? And I'm gonna kind of just dip that brush in and just get it wet. Kind of take it on your hand. You don't want it super wet, but we just wanna dampen it. And then we will dip it into the corner to pick up some of that chocolate, that hot chocolate shimmer. And I'm gonna put some of it down, whoops, along my bottom lashes. Just load the brush here and put some down along the bottom lash just for a little shimmer underneath. And then I have to hold my eye taunt to line, just add a little bit along the top outer lashes. Just a little bit, just real subtle, just a little bit of a liner. I don't have any mascara on this eye. We'll do that here at the end. So after you kind of get your eyeshadow on and feel like you have it matching, you can take just a little brush like that. I'm using the opposite end, and we're gonna remove. I just like a little bit of, I'm just lining underneath, just adding a little bit of eyeliner underneath my bottom lashes, just for a little accent. And then I'm just gonna take this brush and just slightly blend out. And I can even use whatever's left of that highlight shade that I drew the line with to kind of clean up my eye. You can even tap with your finger to remove it a bit. And if you still need to blend, like I feel like I got a little heavy-handed on this side compared to this side because I did them at different times, I can just keep blending a little bit of that color over. But I love how the lift you get by really being conscious and aware, by having that line drawn and not going outside that line, but pulling everything in and up and feathering kind of everything in compared to feathering everything down and pulling down here. I think that's really fun. You can also take a little bit of that Angel's Landing, and you can put some up here at the high part of your brow if you want. You see a little shimmer up there if you want to. Just soften that a bit to mix those two together. All right, now to really kind of make this pop, I'm gonna add my mascara, And I'm just using, this is from Too Faced. It's just one of my favorite mascaras. I mean, the name is kind of obnoxious. It's called Better Than Sex, but it's the Too Faced mascara. It's in the dark black. And I'm going to do my bottom lashes first, especially if you have hooded eyes. Apply your mascara to your bottom lashes first. That way, when you do this thing, you're not getting, your top lashes aren't transferring mascara onto your lids. Okay, so I'm just kind of drawing and putting a little bit of mascara on my bottom lashes. And then I'll go ahead and do my top lashes. So I would love for you to ask me any questions. I'm gonna, while I put my mascara on, which is always tricky to do. I need the mirror for sure. And I love this mascara, but you know, I think if you have a chance, if you're having trouble with your lashes, like if you've lost a lot of your lashes or they're not growing anymore or they're just really short, try a lash serum. And the one I've been using for probably like about 6 months and I just love is the Hello Skincare. Oops, I got that on my face, but I'll wipe that off. The Hello Skincare Lash Serum. And I love that lash serum. I actually have a little discount code in my link under my bio. Takes you right to their website, and then I have a discount code that's Karen20. It gets you like $15 off a 3-month supply. And I swear my eyelashes, I have never had eyelashes like this because they just have grown so much. And then to me, it doesn't really matter what mascara I put on because I have lashes actually to put the mascara on, which is just amazing. Okay, so that was, and I still feel like this is a little bit darker on this side. I think if I would have done the eyeshadow together at the same time, they would have matched a little bit better. So, oh well, they're not quite sisters, they're cousins, as they say, so I'm not worried too much about it. But if you, does that look okay? Okay, good. All right, tell me. That looks gorgeous, but. All right, Molly, tell me what the but is if you have a chance. Anyway, so if you just now joined and you just now hopped on, this was a pretty quick little eyeshadow tutorial. And we had voted on using this palette, which is the Harvest Moon collection. And it comes with 1 matte shade and 3 really pretty shimmers. It doesn't come with these 2 things. This is a little cleaning tile that we have. And this is some of my, I think this is called Linen. It's it's a cream highlighter. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And hi, Mom. Thanks, Mom. So, I think that's really fun. And I really like that tip. I'm going to keep practicing and I'm going to keep doing that by drawing on placement lines. If you missed the beginning of this, oh, it's okay, Molly. Oh, good. Okay, good. If you missed the beginning, I'm going to save this as a replay. Make sure you watch it on my feed later and comment replay. But we did this really cool technique where we drew eyeshadow placement guidelines right on our eye to help us. And, you know, Cynthia, shimmer for older women, we can wear shimmer. It's just making sure that you use a shimmer that's highly pigmented. So it's got much more color. These are really beautiful, subtle shades. I don't know, Cynthia, what do you think? I'm an older gal. I'm 55 and I have lots of crepiness, and I think shimmers are really, really fun. And you just need to experiment and play with your makeup, try new things. Oh, good, Kimberly. I'm glad that the placement lines are going to be helpful. I think it's a game changer. I'm super excited to keep doing it, and I can't wait to keep practicing using those placement lines, really practicing, and thinking, like not just going and grabbing my brush and, you know, okay, windshield wiper, windshield wiper, windshield wiper. And before I know it, I've got eyeshadow. I'm windshield wipering all this eyeshadow way down here, and I'm pulling my eye down and making my eye look much more droopy than it should, where placing that line really forces me to be like, hey, wait a minute, I need to stay within those lines. And Oh, I'm glad. Okay, this was really fun. I know Pumpkin Spice was the other eyeshadow collection that you all voted on, and that one was really popular too. I'll do a Pumpkin Spice tutorial or a reel later in the week. But take advantage of these if you like these. They're limited edition. I don't know how long the 4 of them together will be available. It's just saves you some money when you get it in a collection. That's why I love bundles and collections, because it usually saves you some money. And thank you so much for joining me. Have a great afternoon. Remember to follow if you enjoyed this and want to see more mature makeup tutorials. And if you have any questions, you make sure you reach out to me. Kathy, yes, you're right. Kathy is 68. Placement is key, definitely, and the right shimmers and where you place them, you know. So I think they're really fun. Experiment and play. And remember, it's just makeup, and we can wipe it off, and we can start over. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you catch me next time. Have a great afternoon.